Hello everyone, this is Jace LeJeune, host. We're back of the Chase with Jace. Good evening everybody, I hope everybody has joined probably their less than quiet, I would say pretty quiet off season of football. But knowing us at Gridiron Football, we got a lot going on here, especially those LSU Tigers. And the LSU Tigers, they're coming off a great season back in 2022. Capturing the SEC West title was pretty impressive, I would have to say, in first year for LSU head coach Brian Kelly. It was a great way to start the Brian Kelly era, but they kind of snuck on a lot of people last year in 2022. Now, well, they got themselves the target on their backs. Now everybody is going to be wanting to go after the LSU Tigers, and we'll get to see how they do as being the hunted and not the hunters in year number 2, with a lot of expectations coming into this year, especially not only to win the SEC, because they showed the LSU Tigers can do that last year in year number 1 to Brian Kelly, but you go into year number 2, maybe take the next step and maybe win the SEC championship, or possibly be even beyond that and contend for a Final Four college football playoff spot in the new year. But appreciate everybody that's joining us right now. This is the first live version, so the show is a little bit different than it did last year. It was recorded for a long time before we actually went on to post the show, but now we're doing it live. So this is the first time that we're doing the Chase with Jace live. This is the first show talking about the 2023 season, and yeah, we love for y'all to interact with the show as well. Please make sure to like, share, subscribe, everything that we have here at Gridiron Football. We love your support, so please like, share, and subscribe to Gridiron Football. For all that you need, we have our football needs. Just go to Gridiron Football. Gridiron Football YouTube as well. And you look at the bottom, go to gridironfootballusa.com for all of our content as well. We got our digital magazine. We got camps going on. Our bowl game, we want to see a lot of bowl game invites, bowl game commits, a lot of that starting to happen for the upcoming year for 2023. Player spotlights, we have player spotlights every single day. We have 9 or 10 articles a day on kids around the entire country. So make sure to go to gridironfootballusa.com for all of that. We have a lot of school spotlights. So high school football, college football, we got you covered here at gridironfootballusa.com. And you see a lot of our sponsors. We got a lot of our advertisers here as well, supporting the Chase with Jace, supporting Gridiron Football. So we have to make sure to give them a shout out too. I would have to give a shout out to, if you look at the top right corner, you see the Johnson Law Group. Really appreciate Mr. Willie and everything that he's done for us here at Gridiron Football. Appreciate Mr. Willie. Got a chance to talk to him a lot last Saturday. He had the White Castle Cream 7-on-7 tournament. A great guy, always energetic, always great to talk to. Really appreciate Mr. Johnson, Mr. Willie, for stepping on board with us at Gridiron Football. And I tell you what, he's an excellent lawyer as well. Their motto is excellence and hope in action. They provide excellence and hope through legal service in Baton Rouge, Lafayette, Zachary, pretty much all around South Louisiana. Providing legal service. One of the best trial lawyers in the entire country. So if you get in an accident, it's unfortunate if you do get in an accident, but if it happens to all of us. But to be on your side, give Willie Johnson a call, 225-717-7070. Also, before we even start talking about the LSU football Tigers and what they're doing this spring coming up, got to give a shout out to Mississippi State Guard as well. What they do for a lot of young men that are trying to find a career path. This is a really good career path, is the State Guard. Volunteer today to make a better tomorrow is their motto. And they just provide future careers. So if you want to get involved with the State Guard, make sure to Mississippi State Guard for more information. And then finally, Ultimate Apparel, as you can see at the left as well. Ultimate Apparel has actually sponsored a lot of our bowl games, or Gridiron Football American Bowl games. You see all those incredible jerseys throughout our games the last couple of years. Well, it's because of the work that Terrence and his crew does. So Ultimate Apparel, Pride, Victory, Pride Spark Victory for Ultimate Apparel. So appreciate Terrence and everything that they do at Gridiron for Gridiron Football for Ultimate Apparel. So if you're a team that's trying to get themselves some apparel, this is the guy I would recommend to go to. So go see Terrence and what he does for Ultimate Apparel. He gives us some nice uniforms for the bowl game each and every year. So I appreciate Terrence and Ultimate Apparel for all they do for us and making us look good, especially for the Gridiron Football American Bowl games that you've seen the last couple of years. Now, let's really go into it. Let's go into LSU spring football. I'm sure that's what y'all all want to talk about. It's really good to get that feeling of spring because not only is the weather's really nice, but we get to talk about some football. And really, like I said earlier with LSU football, I mean, there's a lot of expectations. I mean, especially what they did with the transfer portal, what they did last year with the recruiting class, got a top 5 recruiting class coming up. There are a lot of high expectations for the LSU Tigers this year. And it's really because of what they did in year one. I mean, really sneak it up on a lot of everybody. Everybody knows what Brian Kelly and the LSU Tigers are really made of in year two. So we got a lot to see a lot of unfamiliar faces just because of this era of college football when pretty much the transfer portal is at a premium. So everybody's going to go after the top guys in the transfer portal. So in the spring, it was very unique trying to get to match the names, the numbers, and trying to find the new guys that are going to contribute for the LSU Tigers this upcoming season. But I'm excited. I mean, there are a whole lot of storylines surrounding LSU football. And it's going to be a fun time. So if you have anything that you want us to talk about, yeah, please make sure to comment in the comment section. Ask Jace any questions that you have for LSU football. Go out and in the comment section. I'll make sure to help you out and actually answer your questions at the end of the show. But I'm sure I want to see a lot of practice footage too. We'll go through a lot of the LSU practice footage that I've actually filmed through 2 practices already. So, but if you have any questions that you have for the LSU Tigers, make sure to comment or type in Ask Jace, and I will answer your question. Anything that you have about LSU football for the upcoming year. So let's talk about the first LSU practice. I know everybody is waiting for that moment for LSU football to get going. So yeah, I got a lot of footage for you. Just sit back and enjoy. I'll talk about what are some of the observations that I've seen with the LSU Tigers. I've only seen about 20 minutes each, about 2 practices. It's all I've got the chance to see. But I'll actually get to tell you what I've seen. I mean, it's not a whole lot, and they're not practicing a lot in full pads yet. So they're just slowly getting into rhythm. It's been only a couple practices. It's only been about, really, this is their first full week of spring practice. There's a lot of guys that are injured or recovering from injury or coming in as enrollees, new faces. So this is only just a glimpse of what you will see with the LSU Tigers coming up. But let's take a look at some LSU spring practice footage. As you can see here, this is the first practice that I filmed. This was actually not this past week. LSU had a week off for spring practice because it was spring break. So a lot of those guys got much needed rest. So we actually got to see LSU practice one day. It was Thursday. We got access to see what they can do in their first spring practice. And there's just a couple observations. And you're going to see a couple of these guys as I mention them throughout the video. The first one, I have to say, is Ricky Collins. Ricky Collins is the first really takeaway I like to see some of the quarterbacks. There's Jaden Daniels, as you'll see on the screen, the returning LSU quarterback from last year. But Jaden Daniels is the guy. Everybody knows he's the guy. He's coming in, the transfer from Arizona State, coming off a great season in his first year as a Tigers starter. Garrett Nussmeier, you see him throwing right here. He had some pretty good games last year when filling in for Jaden Daniels, so you know that this is a really good LSU group. And look at who that is. Number 10, Ricky Collins. We talked to Ricky a lot on the Chase with Jace throughout the season last year. A really, really good young man, very talented football player. But Ricky got a lot of reps in that first practice because everybody knows what Jaden can do. Garrett is really overcoming a shoulder surgery. So it was a chance to get a lot of looks at number 10, Ricky Collins. And he threw a whole lot in his first practice. So it's pretty interesting to see number 10 now. Ricky Collins, the former Woodlawn quarterback, was coached by, our very own Marcus Randall at Woodlawn High School. And to see him in the purple and gold now. And this is going to be a really good quarterback group. There's only 3 scholarship quarterbacks now when you look at Jaden Daniels, Garrett Nussmeier, and Ricky Collins, but it's a pretty good 3 quarterbacks to have, I would say. So that makes it one of the best quarterback rooms in the SEC. So these are all guys that can eventually play and really play at a high level when it's all said and done. So Ricky Collins, he got a lot of throws in. You're going to see a lot of those throws in the video just right there. But what I also recognize as well, another takeaway from the first day of spring practice is really the lack of depth at running back. Now, when it's all said and done, when football season does come along, I'm sure we'll see all the depth, all the guys that will be carrying the rock this year for the LSU Tigers. But in the first day, it was pretty slim. There are only 2 scholarship running backs when you're looking at the running back room. You see Noah Kane, who's running the football right there. And you're going to see number 25, a new face. That is indeed Louisiana's all-time leading rusher, Trey Holly, running the football. Number 25 from Union Parish. So those are the only 2 scholarship running backs that are currently practicing with the team. Now, Brian Kelly did talk about the other faces that you'll see, the familiar ones like Josh Williams and John Emery and Armani Goodwin. Armani Goodwin, he's going to be pretty late to come back. He actually won't be back until about summer camp goes around. After the preseason camp is when Armani Goodwin will come back. Josh Williams, he's probably the quickest to returning, so he'll come back at the earliest. And then when you also look at John Emery, he is just taking care of himself and academics. And just taking care of that. So taking care of academics, making sure he gets his schoolwork done, make sure he graduates, and that way he can focus on the LSU football team after he graduates. So that's the situation with John Emery. But we're going to see all those running backs when we get a chance to see them in fall camp. Now, another takeaway. I would say the lack of depth right now on the offensive line. Right now, Charles Turner, he's not going through spring practice, so it's an opportunity for Marlon Martinez to get some reps, first-team reps at center. So we got to see a lot of Marlon Martinez in the first day of spring. Will Campbell, Kimo Makanoli have been getting a lot of the first-team reps at left tackle and left guard. You have Emory Jones, who's at right tackle. You see Miles Frazier and Garrett Dellinger. They've been getting some looks at right guard. So a little thin right now on the offensive line. There's been about 6 or 7 scholarship players, but there's going to be reinforcements coming up. So there's going to be reinforcements on the offensive line, whether it's through the transfer portal. They picked up Mason Lunsford from Maryland. They also picked up a really good freshman class. And actually, you can go to GridironFootballUSA.com to check out our Meet LSU's latest edition series to check them out. And to get to know a lot of the new Tigers that will be playing on the offensive line. But for right now, through spring at least, there's only about 6 or 7 scholarship guys right now on the offensive line. So that was another takeaway on the first day of spring. And the fourth, you're going to see it right here. As you see, Coach Janchek, the new outside linebacker coach, special teams coach, he's working with the Jack linebackers, and that's going to be another big question. Who is going to fill in that role for B.J. Ojulari? Now you got 3 candidates right there. Number 17, you see him right there in front of your screen. Ovi Ogufo. He comes in from the University of Texas as a transfer. And then right behind him is number 13. He's another Division I Power 5 transfer coming in. Like I told you all earlier about the transfer portal, Braden Swinson, he's behind him. And then behind number 13, you're going to see coming up, that, folks, is a true freshman, Jackson Howard. Yeah, he is not a college guy. He's not a senior. That is a freshman. Number 11, Jackson Howard. Keep an eye on him. Those are 3 really good options for the Tigers. But Brian Kelly talked in his press conference. He talked a whole lot about Jordan Jefferson from West Virginia, a transfer. Yep, it's not the LSU quarterback, Jordan Jefferson. This is the West Virginia transfer at the defensive line, making an impact. He's actually not practicing the spring so far, but he is going to be a big addition when he comes back, and Brian Kelly likes what he sees. He talked about him. We talked about Ovi. We talked about Braden Swinson, the Jack guys, and Brian Kelly really loves the defensive backs, the secondary. This is probably as deep as LSU has ever been, and it's just a 360-degree difference when you talk about comparing last year to this year. I mean, last year, you're talking about, okay, depth at cornerback, depth in the secondary, it's going to be pretty tough to fill. And there's just, last year, at this point, you had a walk-on come in from McNeese State. He was one of your starters at cornerback. Now, this is actually one of the deepest spots on your team. You look, Denver Harris coming in from Texas A&M, Zy Alexander, J.K. Johnson, Javian Toviano, he's a star freshman coming in. So, and there's going to be other guys coming up, like Deuce Chestnut, who's practicing with the team. He's coming in from Syracuse. You got the signing class coming up. So that is going to be a very deep group, and I am very intrigued to see who are going to be those starters, especially at cornerbacks. That's why I want to know who's going to be the 2 starting cornerbacks coming up for the LSU Tigers. Keep an eye on that battle as really the spring and the summer progress. But it was a great first day. I mean, it was a really good chance to see a lot of the guys go through a lot of the motions, and if you want to see more of this video, go to gridironfootballusa.com. So that was the first day of practice I was actually able to witness. The second practice was actually just the other day. This was on Tuesday, so actually yesterday. We got footage as well. Now, this group that you're about to see right here, the group that's running to the football in this pursuit drill, that is currently the first group, LSU defensive group, that is playing right now. But keep in mind, Mason Smith, Deshaun Womack, they're on the defensive line. They're trying to come back as well. As they're recovering from injuries, but they're going to be 2 big pieces when they come back and they fully practice with the team. They're working off to the side right now and working with non-contact drills as they try to get back to full physical play. But there are a lot of things really to go over on the second LSU practice. Obviously, we got to see a little bit of the first team defense. The first defensive group that we really got to see, first time we got to see really a team drill on that second day. When we saw Savion Jones at defensive end, Ovi Ogufo right now looks like he's going to be the starting jack, at least for right now, and it makes sense because he brings in a lot of Division I playing time, not only from Texas, but he originally started his career at Notre Dame under Brian Kelly. So it makes a lot of sense there. But it's pretty deep, even though these are really new faces that we're looking at. Jacobian Guillory is a familiar name for LSU fans from Alexandria. He's been playing on the inside defensive tackle. Paris Shan is also a defensive tackle. He comes in as another Division I transfer, also from the Pac-12 from Arizona. And then let's talk about the linebackers. We saw Harold Perkins, and by the way, if you haven't got the chance to see it, Harold Perkins is actually sporting a new jersey. He's wearing number 4. He wore number 40 last year, but he's wearing number 4 this year. So it's going to be really interesting to see that standout freshman who really helped LSU and really took over the games a lot defensively for the LSU Tigers stand out last year. Wearing a different jersey, wearing that Calvin Chason jersey, that number 4 jersey. I'm going to see him wear this year. So he's moving on from number 40 jersey now to number 4. We also got to see a lot of Omar Spates, who was that linebacker, the transfer from Oregon State, wearing number 1, the number 1 jersey for LSU. Now, keep an eye on this guy throughout camp because he is going to be a really good one. I mean, talking to a lot of different people, Omar Spates and Harold Perkins, that could be a 1-2 deadly combination. Could be make up one of the best linebacker combos in the country when it's all said and done with those two. Sage Ryan was playing some nickel, and it was really good to see Sage out there at a spot which we've seen a lot of him at nickel over the years. At safety, those are 2 familiar names and faces we've seen for the Tigers. Major Burns is back for LSU, and also Greg Brooks. He's back for LSU. Both of them are coming off great years last year. For a secondary, that was really one of the most improved position groups over the course of the season. It really surprised a lot of people for their play last year. And then at cornerback, that's going to be a great battle because there's a lot of depth, there's a lot of names, there's a lot of familiarity because they are Division I transfers that play a lot at Division I level, but we got to find out who really stands out from that big group of names. Like the names I talked to you about earlier with Denver Harris coming in from Texas A&M and Zy Alexander coming from Southeastern, was an FCS All-American. I called a lot of his games at Southeastern and Hammond. Javian Toviano as well as a freshman coming up. So he's a highly talented freshman. So J.K. Johnson, Deuce Chestnut, I could go on and on with the secondary. And Brian Kelly says that there might be a lot of changing around. A lot of cornerbacks that play are going to play safety. A lot of safeties are going to play cornerback just because there's so much depth there. And right now, that's really the most people that really got right now. I mean, we're talking about it. Going to the second practice with the offensive line being currently thin as it is right now, I only got to see maybe 6 or 7 scholarship offensive linemen, and because of that, there was some moving around. Kels Bush, who plays on the defensive line for LSU, he moved to the offensive line just to give them some bodies there for the offensive line. But like I said, really reinforcements are coming this way. So that is the good thing about it coming up. And really, the Jack linebackers, they're still impressing Brian Kelly, especially. This is the first time we get to really see those guys, which is, I would say, very impressive. But there's just a lot going on now. Those are some of the highlights there, LSU football practice highlights. Hopefully you all enjoyed them. To watch all those highlights, you can always go back to where you're watching the show right now on YouTube. So go to our YouTube channel, Gridiron Football. Please like, share, subscribe to our channel. We really appreciate everybody that's tuning in right here. I really appreciate it as well. And this is really a first test run and everything. As you see, we have a lot of the billboards that you see that's helping us support Gridiron Football with Mississippi State Guard, with the Johnson Law Group. Appreciate Mr. Willie Johnson for everything that he does. Probably our number 1 fan, I would have to say, for Gridiron Football. And I would say, Mr. Johnson, appreciate all your support as well for us. And Ultimate Apparel, I mean, those are the ones that make us look good and nice when it comes to Gridiron Football All-American Bowl game weekend in late December. But, man, there's a lot to really sink in. We only have about 20 minutes each to really talk about it for LSU football. I mean, go to the practices. I mean, Brian Kelly really gracious enough to give us that time, 20 minutes to really see what those Tigers are doing. But we won't really get a whole lot, especially until we see some competition drills when they're wearing full pads. We won't be able to really see what LSU really has in store, especially with some of the new faces, until we get to that point and we get to see more of what these guys can do. And right now, there's just only a limited amount of bodies, so this is a really good opportunity. The spring practice right now, you got about this time, which today is March 22nd. You got a month, March 22nd, And the last game or LSU practice in spring, which is really the spring game, is April 22nd. So you got a month to work with if you are the LSU Tigers. So do you know that's a great opportunity for? It's a great opportunity for the young guys. Guys like Ricky Collins. Guys like Trey Holly. That are early enrollees coming at this point because a lot of guys are recovering from injury. Deshaun Womack, he's recovering from injury on the defensive line. Mason Smith, he's trying to get back to full go after tearing his ACL last year. So it's an opportunity for a lot of these transfers, these freshmen to come in and show what they can do. And this is what's the beauty about spring football. And it's also really an appetizer for guys like me in the media that come and see them and see what the LSU Tigers are really all about. So that's what I have to say about it. Now, there's a couple more announcements as well before we wrap up here on the Chase with Jace. But make sure to tune with us every single Wednesday as we'll have live shows of the Chase with Jace coming up. So I'm super excited about that. And don't worry, I'll give y'all more of a heads up when the show comes up. But this is really just a trial run. Really, this is my first live show that I've hosted. So thank you for bearing with me throughout this first episode. All right. Also, give a couple of mentions right here for everything. I am the LSU beat writer for Gridiron Football, which means we have a lot of content on our website at gridironfootballusa.com. Here's just some examples. We have the Meet LSU's latest edition series. We've done every position: quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end, offensive line, defensive line. Tonight, we're going to talk about the new faces at linebacker, and we're going to wrap up the week with the newest faces in the secondary for LSU. So go to gridironfootballusa.com for all that content. And then also, I just gave you some examples of the LSU spring practice reports, and to read the full version of it, I'll just say go to gridironfootballusa.com. I have quotes from Coach Brian Kelly. I have footage here that you just saw on the show. I have some analysis from myself, some of the top guys each and every day that stood out during camp. For example, Emory Jones. And I tweeted this out the other day, and it's gone viral. Just looking at that. And Emory Jones, wow, what an outstanding young man and what he has done so far. I mean, this tweet went over to 36,000 people, and I appreciate everybody that shared it and retweeted it. But Brian Kelly says on Emory Jones, he makes good choices, good decisions. He's never late to anything. He's reliable. This is a guy that we can count on. He is so reliable, and that goes back to his background, his family, and his high school. He is exceptional. And that's just great to see. A lot of times you get to see kind of the negative things going around in sports, but it's always great to see something positive like this and see a young man that's also blossoming, not only blossoming as a football player. This guy was a stud last year at LSU at right tackle, but to see him grow as a leader, as a teammate, and most importantly as a person, that is what you love to see. And I love that hear Brian Kelly talk positively about the guys that have showed up and set the example. And those guys get in the headlines. Also, we got a lot going on in recruiting. So, Kalaj Cobbins got a chance to talk with him from Destrehan High School, 4-star linebacker. He committed to LSU. And if you follow Destrehan football and keep up with LSU recruiting, there have been a lot of great players that have gone on to play LSU from Destrehan. I mean, if you look, the Jefferson brothers, and then you also have, you go back all the way back in the 90s too. Rondell Mealy played running back at Destrehan. And then obviously, Justin Jefferson and what he's doing with the Minnesota Vikings. So check that article out as I caught up with Kalaj Cobbins, talk about him winning the state championship at Destrehan last year and how he's won at Pee Wee football, middle school, high school. He won state championships in all those levels. And now he's trying to bring a national championship to Baton Rouge at LSU. Also, check out Aledo High School. Another guy who's used to win state championships in Texas, Devon Keys. He discussed his LSU commitment with me. And this was after Charlie Baker, one of our Gridiron Football beat writers, caught up with him and then an article with him. So Devon reached out Appreciate Devon for catching up with me and talking about his commitment to LSU, a 3-star linebacker, also a star running back for Aledo High School, which is a powerhouse football program in Texas. So go check out that content as well. So, and we also have a lot of stuff going on at Gridiron Football. So for all that LSU content, we have plenty of articles coming up as well at Gridiron Football. So make sure to check out all that content at gridironfootballusa.com. So we got some questions. So 12M Imran wants to know, what is the running back situation looking like since the break depth-wise? That's a good question. So right now, the running back situation is this. You got a lot of bodies. You got Caleb Jackson coming in. Trey Holly is playing right now. You have Noah Kane. You have Armani Goodwin, Josh Williams. It's a lot of guys. There's a lot of bodies at running back. But just right now in the spring, really the only two guys that we're going to see a whole lot of, I would have to say, would be Trey Holly and Noah Kane. Noah Kane and Trey Holly are the two guys out there in practice running all the drills with Frank Wilson. And right now, Josh Williams, he's going to be the next guy that you'll see coming back. So although a lot of those guys are dealing with injuries right now, but Josh Williams, corner Brian Kelly, he's going to be the first one that does come back. So you'll get to see Josh Williams. In fact, I saw Josh Williams practice, just trying to get into the rhythm with the team, going after recovering from injuries last year. He ran the football a whole lot of times last year for the LSU Tigers. But we're going to see a lot more of Josh Williams towards as we go through the rest of spring practice. So you'll probably see them pretty soon. I meant to say that's Marcus. So that's right. So all right, Marcus, good to see you again, and it's just great to hear back from Marcus. He actually will be on our show a whole lot as well. So Marcus, myself, we'll talk about a lot of LSU football. So you're going to see a lot of myself and Marcus throughout this year. You saw a lot of us last year, and you're going to see a lot of us this year as well. So you're going to talk the former LSU quarterback, Marcus Randall. We'll be talking a lot about the LSU Tigers coming up this season. So Marcus will be chiming in a lot throughout the season. And so Andy come in with a question. So how is the defense looking? The defense right now, Andy, is looking really good. Defensively, there's a lot of new faces. That's really the main thing. But just physically and just seeing how they move, how they react, this is a really good LSU defense, potentially even better than last year, because you still return a lot of guys like Harold Perkins last year, who was a stud of a freshman. He really took over some games, like the Arkansas game and the Alabama game, really took over those games defensively. But you add in Omar Spates, who comes in from Oregon State. You add in a lot of different pieces in the secondary. A lot of guys are coming from the Division I level, Division I transfers, and that's going to send more depth in the secondary, because there's only a couple of guys that really worked out in the secondary. So I think that from last year are coming back. So it's a really good mix of guys that are veterans, like Major Burns and Sage Ryan and Greg Brooks, those guys, along with some of the new faces like Denver Harris and Zy Alexander and J.K. Johnson, and a lot of those guys, Javian Toviano, those guys in the secondary. Defensive line, there's a lot of bodies coming in. I already talked about as well a lot of the guys on the defensive line coming in from the Division I level, from the Power 5 2. So, yeah, this is going to be a really good LSU. To answer your question, Andy, and I go long-winded, this is going to be a really good LSU defense. I'm really excited to see what they can do. But we won't have a great idea of what they can do until we see the offense and defense where we're going at it with each other. But this LSU defense is going to be really good. So, my opinion on who this next Harold Perkins could be at LSU, there's a couple of different options, but a guy that's just has impressed me so far and just looks like he is going to be a guy. Now, there's the Sean Womack is a guy that everybody's talking about. He's 6'5", 265 pounds, but right now he's kind of in betweener between a defensive end and being a jack. So we're going to see where he fits, if he's going to play on the defensive line, he's going to stand up, we're going to see where his role really falls. But the guy that I really like right now, as a true freshman, Deshaun Womack is one, but I really like Jackson Howard. Jackson Howard, he looks like pretty much Allie Gay right now. I mean, that's just pretty much how he looks like right now. He's wearing number 11. He was the number one player coming from the state of Minnesota. Number one player in the entire state, was a 4-star. He is a stud. And to read more about him, you actually can go to GridironFootballUSA.com and check out the latest editions article on the defensive line. So to read more about that, just go to GridironFootballUSA.com. But for an early candidate, as far as being that guy as a freshman, I'd say Jackson Howard and Deshaun Womack are two really good options. But if you're trying to look for just a new face, I guess from the transfer portal, I would say Omar at that same position as Harold Perkins. I like Omar Speights. I think he just moves so well, but he's just a carrot at his size. I mean, I haven't got the official really height and weight on Omar Speights just yet, but he just looks like a perennial all SEC type guy. I mean, he's probably close to about the 240-pound range. He's really thick, but he moves so well. And to see him go sideline to sideline, was an all Pac-12 guy at Oregon State. I really like him as a candidate that could be that next guy that takes over this LSU defense. And then, on the defensive line, the defensive front, those are some of the guys that really stick out to me right now. But there's a lot of transfers coming in. I think this defense is going to be deeper. I think it's going to be a more talented defense as well. I think it's going to be more of a committee approach. I think there's just a lot of bodies coming in, getting in and out. I don't think there's going to be just one guy that just sticks out among the rest because there's just so many bodies. There's so much depth there on the defensive line. There's a lot to like from this LSU defense. But still, especially with Matt House coming back as a defensive coordinator, another year with him, and he already cemented himself as one of the best defensive play callers in the country. It's going to be really good to see. It's going to be really interesting to see how they progress through camp. All right, I appreciate Andy and Marcus for chiming in, asking some questions. But if y'all have any questions, be more than welcome to ask some questions in the chat. And I'll be more than happy to answer them for you. But we're about to wrap the show up. I hope y'all enjoyed this live version. I know this is probably not the most organized version of the show since it's going to be the first really live show that I do with Gridiron Football. But it's going to be more crisp as it goes along. So when we have more of a format. But next Wednesday, I'll give you more practice analysis. I'll show y'all more highlights. We'll get some sound bites from even Brian Kelly to talk about. Maybe some player audio bites as well. Just kind of give you an inside scoop of what's going on at LSU football is what I want to do. So every Wednesday, the times may vary because I'm going all over the place. I'm going to try and make it at the same time as I possibly can each and every Wednesday. But I'll keep y'all updated. So this was just really at the spur of the moment, really test, see how this goes on the first edition for the 2023 season of the Chase with Jace. So we cut to the chase. We got a lot of stuff done here today. Just give y'all a quick look at the LSU football team in 2023, and there's going to be a whole lot more questions being answered as we progress through camp. Before I wrap up the show, I had to give credit one more time to everybody that supports us here at Gridiron Football. The Mississippi State Guard volunteered today to make a better tomorrow. That's their motto. And when you have a motto like that, that just makes the world a better place. And that's what the Mississippi State Guard does. And if you're watching this, if you, for whatever reason, you could be an athlete watching this, and you're trying to figure out what you want to do at the next stage of your life. But Mississippi State Guard is a great way to do that and to get involved. So in order to do that, just go to their website. And you can find it at Gridiron Football, and we have all these websites for you available, MississippiStateGuard.org, for more information. Also, Mr. Willie Johnson. I appreciate everything he does for us at Gridiron Football. One of the best trial lawyers in the entire country, putting them up against anybody out there. So, catastrophic injuries, 18-wheeler vehicle accidents, civil litigation, He's available in Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Lafayette, Zachary. He is pretty much all over South Louisiana. So if you happen to be in an accident, he's really the guy to go to. So call that number at the top right above my head, 225-717-7070. That is 225-717-7070. Excellence and hope in action is the motto for the Johnson Law Group. Appreciate Mr. Willie Johnson. Ultimate Apparel, Pride, Spark, Victory. Ultimate Apparel, appreciate Terrence. We had some really good threads last year for jerseys at the Gridiron Football American Bowl game. He does all of our jerseys. Appreciate Terrence for all the hard work, and he's going to continue to do that for us here at Gridiron Football. If you're a team, football, basketball, baseball, you name it, go to their website, ultimateapparel.com. And also, you can go to our website, gridironfootball.com, to go to Ultimate Apparel and contact Terrence, as he does an excellent job. If you're looking for uniforms for your football team, your basketball team, any athletic occasion, go to, or just want some apparel, some just football shirts, team shirts, he's really the guy to go to. So contact Terrence. Does a great job for us at Gridiron Football. Well, this is it. I have to wrap it up. I appreciate Andy Bryson, Marcus Randall, everybody involved, the entire Gridiron Football staff for really giving me this opportunity. Let me just ramble on for a long time. I know this probably went over than usual. I'm going to try and make it the 30-minute mark. But, hey, last shout-out, go to gridironfootballusa.com. I know we cover a lot of LSU, but we cover a lot of high school football all over the country, Texas, Mississippi, Louisiana, of course, Alabama. I mean, you name it. We have it here at Gridiron Football. Also, make sure to check out our other show, which is going to be the Football Huddle, and we'll get a chance for Louisiana or Texas or Alabama or Mississippi, all our beat writers here at Gridiron Football, to talk about what they want to discuss and all that's going on across the country. That's why it's gridironfootballusa.com. Check us out on the Football Huddle. It is going to be around 12:30. Actually, it will be 12:30 on Friday. We'll be live as well. Well, it was great to catch up with y'all. Cut down to the chase. That's what I like to say. Cut to the chase with Jace. Hope y'all enjoyed the show. Please like, share, subscribe to this YouTube channel, and we'll catch y'all next week, next Wednesday. We'll see what the Tigers are cooking next week, next Wednesday, here on The Chase with Jace. Hope y'all enjoyed.